All right, so in this next video, I want to show you where Dyer, whenever we try to make distinctions and offer pushback against the way he portrays Catholicism, maybe he's not making the appropriate distinctions. He tries to offer this pushback that we're just playing with words. We're just engaging in shibboleth, to use a biblical phrase. We're just using these arbitrary distinctions and we're just playing with words and effectively engaging in sophistry. Now, if one were to ask Dyer about his understanding about the essence and energies distinction, and one were to say, oh, well, I think that that sounds like you're denying simplicity. You believe God's made of parts. He would deny that. Or if somebody were to say, well, it sounds like you believe in more than one God with your understanding of the essence and energies distinction. I'm not saying that it actually teaches that. I'm just saying that there are some who would try to offer that pushback to Dyer and say, well, it sounds like you're teaching that there are many gods whenever you speak of this distinction between essence and energies. And he would rightly push back and say no. And he would offer a qualified, nuanced answer with all kinds of distinctions. But again, whenever we do that, he wants to say shibboleth, and you're just playing with words. And so I think that there's a misrepresentation of the Catholic perspective oftentimes in his presentation of Catholicism. And whenever we go to offer a more nuanced approach and some pushback, he doesn't want to accept it. But if somebody were to offer him pushback on his views, he would then employ distinctions and would try to show why somebody has misunderstood his position. Let's take a look. This is from a recent video between Gideon Lazar and Jay Dyer, where they're talking about an issue involving divine simplicity. Let's take a look. And by the way, I did edit out the profanity that Dyer used in this video.
Me what that means.
I agree it's about first and second actuality.
Right.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and so that's the sense in which it was meant. So it doesn't. That's the twofold sense in question 25 for power.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so the wording itself, which is what you guys do, shibboleth, you obsess over words.
So his problem here is that whenever somebody responds to his criticisms of Thomas Aquinas, whenever somebody offers some pushback and wants to say, but wait, you're not appropriately understanding what Aquinas means by this, he wants to say, you guys are just playing with words. But again, if somebody were to do that back to him and say, well, I think that you're teaching on the essence and energies, it's just saying effectively that there are many gods. He would say, no, you're completely misunderstanding my position. And he would then go to offer distinctions.
When that wasn't even the point, and you know it.
Well, I have not gotten involved.
Autistic and you want to play gotcha over stupid words, dude.
I'm trying to discuss how St. Thomas uses certain words.
No, you weren't. You wanted to play gotcha in the chat. That's all you wanted to do.
All right.
And you got shown up, and classical theists told you that you were wrong. So all you want to do is come here and save face and argue over words. That's what you guys do. This is why you guys are a joke and ridiculous. You don't act normal. You don't act like human beings. You act fucking robots who just want to play gotcha because you're a spurg, dude. That's why.
All right, I guess I'm a spurg, but that doesn't affect at all whether or not I'm correct on this issue. The question is,
all you care about the words.
Jay, it genuinely seems like we agree for the most part. I don't know why we're coming into a big argument.
So you have a fucking problem. You have a mental problem. And you just couldn't admit that in the chat, that even though we agree, you had to come here to try to play gotcha.
Jay, I was trying to get you to ask you, do you think St. Thomas thinks there's potentia in God?
You want to play gotcha on somebody who's you perceive as your enemy or some stupid internet dispute. That's all you wanted to do. That's all you guys care about is gotchas. Over a word. When you admitted that we mean the same thing. How gay is that?
All right, if we mean the same thing, then when I had simply asked you about potentia in God, you could simply say
you wanted to try to play gotcha over that you're the Latin expert.
I asked you whether or not you know Latin, so I wanted to know if we could discuss the Latin text of St. Thomas.
That's not why. You wanted to show out.
Do you know Latin, Jay?
I don't know Latin. I've never claimed to know Latin. I don't care about knowing Latin.
So you don't, there's a huge number of medieval texts you cannot read in this debate that are not translated if you don't know Latin.
All right, so I think that that's enough to get the point here. The discussion went a lot longer, but what the Byzantine Scotus is trying to do is say, look, on this particular point, we're really not that far off. And this is something that I notice happens a lot whenever somebody tries to engage Dyer and say, look, actually, we might really not have irreconcilable differences on, say, absolute divine simplicity or the filioque. He wants to say, no, we do. We have irreconcilable differences. And again, if a person wants to say, but wait, you're kind of misrepresenting the position here. Let me offer you some important distinctions. Oh no, shibboleth. You guys are just playing with words. But once again, if somebody were to challenge Dyer or misrepresent his perspective about the essence and energies distinction, he would then employ distinctions. So it seems that he is misrepresenting Catholicism and in some ways being inconsistent. Oh wait, before you go, I would really appreciate it if you would consider supporting this channel. This is my primary means to provide for my family, and it also helps me to produce content like this video. If you would like to support me, become a patron by visiting patreon.com/reason and theology. You'll also get access to extra exclusive content when you become a patron. Lastly, hit that like button and the subscribe button, and be sure to leave a comment down below. God bless.